camera. So my name is Chris. Online, I go by Permaculture FX. This is our faithful rooster who will be chiming in with all of his wisdom and insight for the afternoon. So what I do as an educator is I help families learn how to grow their own food. And so I was a teacher for 17 years in a K through 12 Christian private school in Kansas City, Missouri, called the Daniel Academy, where we did hands-on learning from kindergartners and pre-kindergarten who collected quail eggs in the aviary every day, all the way up to high schoolers who dissected animals that had passed away to find out why. And the junior high studied the mycorrhizal fungi under the microscope. So we got super nerdy. The math classes, thank you, the math classes created business plans to sell the groceries at little grocery stands after school. So I love education. I'm a teacher. You can tell I have teacher voice. But I'm really passionate about growing food. For me personally, the reason why I love gardening is not as noble as probably some of yours. Some of yours is you want to save the planet and you want, the ecology. I love to eat. I just really love food. I love to eat. I love to cook. I like to eat a lot. I love to eat healthy with a splurge once a week of macaroni and cheese because that's like my vice. But I like to eat as much as I can from my backyard. So first I want to say thank you to you and your family for hosting us today and opening up your space where we can kind of learn together, we can grow together. Now, at this point in my life, I do not have a public school or a private school that I teach at. I mainly go to people's homes. Some of them are homesteads, some of them are 0.2 acres in the middle of Orlando, some are 2,000 acres in Norway. So I design all over the world teaching people how to grow food. So today we're gonna mainly focus on a group of trees that we call stone fruit. So we're thinking today more peaches, pear, plum, nectarine, avocado, loquat, that sort of thing. But I want to introduce you to some of the plants that we'll be putting in today, and kind of introduce them, I guess, similar to a family. So when we think about a family, what's the role of a dad in the family? What's the dad mainly do? Provide for the family. Yep, provides for the family. He's a protector. What's your mom do? What's your mom really good? Oh, we don't want to say that. What does your mom do? What's a mom do in a family normally? She take care of you pretty good? Does she ever bring home food? She takes us to school. She's like, I'm going to be passing out my job description after this, you know? So mom is our caretaker. And the reality is sometimes we don't know what mom does all the time. We see mom for a couple hours a day, but we forget she's at home cooking the whole time we're at school. She's cleaning, she's getting stuff ready. She's doing all the grocery shopping. She's getting my macaroni and cheese. Mom and dad have really big roles in our life. And I'm 44 years old, and my parents are coming to visit next week. And I will say we never outgrow the connection that we have with mom and dad. Those connections are important when we're kids, but they're equally as important when we're older. And just like mom and dad have a role, the kids in the family have a role. The oldest sibling, sometimes I was the oldest sibling, so we'll take all the credit for this. We're usually the more organized ones. We're the ones that we're slightly, when I say organized, younger kids, you would say we're bossy, whatever. I'm going to say we're organized. So we like to keep things moving. We like to have things a certain way. We like our siblings behaving a certain way because they annoy the heck out of us. So as an older sibling, we have a job. Now, middle siblings, you also have a job. Your job usually is to be kind of the life of the party. You make people smile, you make people laugh, you like to have a good time. You kind of want mom and dad to stay on their toes a little bit. So sometimes you throw them a wild card to keep mom and dad on their toes. And then the youngest sibling, they definitely have a role in the family. And it's not just to cry, but it's to be so stinking cute and adorable. It's, to do the funny things that they don't even plan, like they fart at the wrong moment and everybody starts laughing and it's baby of the family moment. And in our families, those roles are super important. But when we look at our garden and at what we're going to call a food forest, every type of tree has a very similar role. And those roles are very different. Those roles are very unique. And what happens is if one gets by themselves, one tree gets by itself, and it doesn't connect with those other plants and those other roles, it doesn't do very well. So if you want to know how to kill a fruit tree, plant it by itself in the middle of your grass with no wood chips and no compost. That's the easiest and fastest way to kill a fruit tree, especially in Florida. But when we plant, what we want to do is plant them in a way where those roots can interact. Now, for kids in a family or for mom and dad to the kids, communication is pretty important. Plants will actually talk in the same way. So when we see plants growing underground, they're sending out roots. And kind of what happens with those plants is even though their roots don't quite touch, they're not quite meeting together, they send out these little fibrous hairs. They're called mycorrhizal fungi. It's actually a little mushroom. So think of like a mushroom that has roots. So what happens is when the mycorrhizal, so hold your fist out like this. So you're a plant and I'm a plant. And these are our roots. We're not quite touching, but we send out the mycorrhizal fungi and then we can communicate that way. So what happens is when we get close enough together with our plants, we want to have good, healthy boundaries. We don't want to be punching our brother or our sister in the arm. We want to have good, healthy fun. So with the plants, we want to keep them at a good, healthy space and a good, healthy distance that they have room to grow, room to spread out, but also that they can communicate with one another. So the plants that we have here, and again, I told you I like food, so I'm telling you the ones that I like, to eat specifically. So this one over here is one of our natives. Is this the Shumard oak? So Shumard is very similar to a live oak. It gives a little bit better fall color. I feel like you actually get a little bit of oranges that are in the Shumard. But the Shumard and the live oaks, you can actually use the acorns to make flour, and it tastes pretty good. It's got like a nutty flavor. With the flour, you boil the acorns a couple times, grind them up. It's a little bit of a process, but it's kind of fun. I lived on a Native American nature sanctuary for a couple years, and man, I'll tell you what, they spend a lot of time and they grind it with a stone by hand. Like they're crazy faster at it than I am. Now, this is our big tall tree, and if we move our way down the line, this is the tallest all the way down to the shortest. So our tall trees down the line, they're providing all of the shade. So they're providing the protection for mainly our fruiting stuff. So some of our fruiting trees that we have today, the first one here in the front, and then we've got another one here, are two of my favorites. They're called mulberries, which are kind of like a really sweet blackberry, raspberry, but there's no seeds, so they're not crunchy. So in Florida, it's really hard to grow blackberries and raspberries. I'd say skip the raspberries. Blackberries, try them, but really your mulberries are where it's at. Now, I'm a bit of a nerd. I have 38 varieties of mulberries, and I'm testing them here in Kansas City and all the way up in Michigan. I love me some mulberries, and there's a mulberry for everything. If you like a blackberry, there's the blackberry flavor. You like the sweet and tart, because some people like the sour ones. They're sour. There's a green one that tastes like a cucumber. There's a white one, y'all, that tastes like vanilla cotton candy. I kid you not. Like, it's literally, I will go outside and I will just eat until my fingers are just sticky because they're just so good. My mulberries never make it in the house ever. They're literally just me standing at the tree filling my face. But the white one really does taste like vanilla cotton candy. So we've got a couple mulberries here. We have a couple fig trees. Now, some figs, like brown turkey, is a really good one dried. So if you like your charcuterie board with the meat and the cheese and, the little almonds or nuts or whatever on it, that's a great one to dry. Or you can do Celeste, is a really nice one that's fresh. She's got a really pink inside. So if you like the color pink, Celeste is a really vibrant pink kind of on the inside. So that's our tall tree, our medium trees. These are going to be our kind of bushes. So anybody like cherries? I'm a big cherry fan. So this one is called Cherry of the Rio Grande. Cherry of the Rio Grande, I like it because it grows as a bush. Kiddos, that's great because you can reach them. You don't have to climb a ladder. You can just stand there and eat cherries at the bush. And it grows in part shade or part sun, which I know we're all craving here. We'll get there in just a minute. So Cherry of the Rio Grande takes a little bit longer to get established, I think 2 or 3 years. But once she starts producing, she's super hardy. Mine were uncovered down to 19 degrees and they did not bat an eye. Their fruiting, their flowering did not cover them 1 iota. So that's cherry de Rio Grande. This little cutie patootie that's putting out some flowers here is called Patanga tuba. Say that 10 times fast. Patanga tuba. I'm not even gonna try it. So Patanga tuba, we'll say yellow star cherry. So imagine a berry that's this big and it looks like a yellow pumpkin. I know that's weird. So it's a berry that big that looks like a yellow pumpkin and it tastes like citrus pineapple. So moms and dads, it tastes like a morning mimosa without the additives. And it really is yummy, produces very high yielding, and they're juicy. Like I normally have a beard, but I've shaved it off. It's one of those big cherries that you have to like lean over because it will just drip down your beards. Now you won't have a problem with it dripping down your beard, but I had that problem. So that's our Patanga tuba. Guava does super well in Florida. If you want the cold hardier guava, there's a guava called a Catley guava, C-A-T-L-E-Y. There's a strawberry flavor and color, and there's a lemon flavor and color. And those are going to be the most cold hardy on the guavas. Ruby Supreme, Pink Barbie are fun, but they're not quite as cold hardy and cold tolerant. This one here is one of my personal favorites. It was one of the most popular plants during COVID because it's called the toilet paper plant. You can guess why it's called the toilet paper plant. So it gets to be a bush that's about yay big. The leaves get to be as big as your hand, and guess what you use it for? And what's kind of fun is when you smell it, and you can go ahead and we'll just pass it around. It doesn't smell like toilet paper or what goes on the toilet paper. It kind of smells like rosemary. So if you want to go ahead and pass, actually, let's do this. Let's break off a leaf and let's just kind of touch it and you can pass it around. So it's kind of like sending your tushy to the day spa. So you get a little bit of a nice fragrance along with it. It's a good pollinator. This one is so hardy. I kid you not. You can literally break a piece off of this plant, throw it on the ground, and it will just root itself into the ground and come back. If you don't water it, don't pay attention to it, walk away. But it's a really pretty, kind of a blue flower. So parents, if you're familiar with delphiniums, this is like a very similar bloom to like a delphinium flower. And this one will get to be about 6 or 7 feet tall if you let it, and blooms whenever she wants. This one here, you might have heard me talk about earlier. Anybody like chocolate chip cookies? Now, this doesn't taste like chocolate chip cookies, but it smells like chocolate chip cookies. So I was at this place, it's called the Bach Tower Gardens. It's like this mythical, magical tower with bells in it that plays, and the courtyard of Bach Tower is like a fairy gnome garden. Like it is one of the coolest places in Florida. And they have a coffee shop, which I do love me some coffee. And I was standing by the coffee shop door and I was like, oh man, they're cooking chocolate chip cookies or scones or something, whatever. So I walked inside, walked up to the counter, and I was like, okay, I want this latte. I wanted a Quint Venti whole milk, no whip, white chocolate mocha with an extra shot. And so I ordered my drink and I said, and I want whatever you're cooking because it smells amazing. And she goes, oh no, we don't cook here. And I was like, I can smell chocolate chip cookies like in the oven. And she goes, nope, we don't cook anything here. So I don't know what you're smelling. And this lady behind me goes, oh, sir, I'm the master gardener here. What you're smelling is a tree called daisy tree, which the flowers get real big. They look like a giant daisy, but it smells exactly like chocolate chip cookie dough. And if you plant this way over there, if you're up on the porch in the house, you'll get this nice smell of chocolate chip cookie dough, which might help your mom, get in the mood to bake some cookies or go buy some cookies. So it's a good plant to put in to encourage those cookies to show up on your countertop. So the daisy tree is a great one. You can get cuttings of this online from Cody Cove Nursery is a great place to get them. He'll send you like 5 cuttings, which is really fun. So these ones over here on the ground, so we have our tall, our medium, and our low layers. These are tropical spinaches, so they grow as a perennial. So some of them are good for cooking. Some of them are gonna be better for salads. And so I'll tell you a little bit about a couple of my favorites. These two are cousins. The one in my right hand here is called Okinawa spinach. It has purple undersides, which if you want the science-y behind it, it's higher in anthocyanins, which is an antioxidant for the body and a precursor to glutathione, which is the body's master antioxidant. So this is healthier if you want the antioxidant benefits. The longevity spinach is really good at normalizing blood cholesterol levels without having the blood thinning effect. So if you're on Coumadin or warfarin, always talk to your doctor first. This may be a safer option for you to add into your diet to help normalize blood cholesterol and blood sugar levels. These I think are best in scrambled eggs. Anybody scrambled egg fan? This is my favorite thing to throw in my scrambled eggs. You don't even taste it. It doesn't taste like spinach. It just gives you, yummy color in your scrambled eggs, soups or stews, quiches, Okinawa spinach. Okinawa, and this one is longevity spinach. They're cousins. One's colorful. One's just good old green. And they do come back every year. I didn't cover any of my spinaches, and they've all come back from the frost. So they did fine. Anybody like hamburgers or Impossible burgers? So one of the things I don't like about burgers, when you go to McDonald's, not that any of us ever go to McDonald's, but when you go to McDonald's, or your neighbor goes to McDonald's and you get the lettuce and it's kind of hot and melted and the lettuce kind of turns into slimy. I hate slimy lettuce on my burger. It's one of my pet peeves when it just kind of melts on there. The Brazilian spinach or sisu holds the crunch. So this is my favorite on a burger because you get the lettuce, but it doesn't melt into your burger. It does have a little bit of a crunch, so I like it in a Caesar salad. It's not one I want the whole salad made out of this, but it does, it just holds up against the heat. So this is my favorite for like burger and hot dog and Coney Island season. This one is really one of my favorites. This is another favorite to add into salads. If you are vegan or vegetarian, the Suriname spinach has biotin and omega-3 and 6 fatty acids in it. So this is a really good one to help you get your B vitamins and get those amino acids. Plant this one once and she'll kind of spread everywhere. So this is like the middle child in the family. So she just kind of wanders, goes wherever she wants, like a little garden fairy. And this one does get little pink flowers. They bloom in the morning and then they close up in the middle of the afternoon. But this is a great one to add into salads. Oh, you can also do soup, stews, scrambled eggs, anything that you would do a green in. All of these are really good sauteed. So if you like the southern, like collard greens with bacon, maybe a little bit of Parmesan cheese, all of these you can do like collard greens, but it only takes like 3 minutes to cook it. So you don't have to cook the collard greens for like, an hour with the bacon. So you do your bacon first, extra bacon always. Do your collard greens, which is any of these spinaches, for literally under 3 minutes, and then add your Parmesan cheese, your garlic, your salt, your pepper, or however you want to do your southern greens is totally between you and Jesus. This one here is called comfrey. Comfrey is a great one. Do you guys know about the gladiators? Like in ancient Rome and in ancient Greece, super cool folks. They would compete and fight and they would do battle against each other. They use these to help the gladiators. So in history, there was a guy called Hippocrates, and he was one of the fathers of modern medicine. And so what Hippocrates would do, he called this bone knit or bone heal, is they would take a rock and put this in a bowl and they would crush it up, and they called it a poultice. Why? I have no idea. So they crush it up, they called it a poultice, and then they would put it on a broken arm or a broken leg or a pulled muscle or a ligament that was sore, and it helped it get better faster. Now, if you're a science nerd, anybody a science nerd? Because I am, the University of Baltimore at Maryland has a great study that when you apply comfrey as a poultice, it increases the healing rate between 14 and 20% faster on bones, ligaments, tendons, and tissues. There is some research that says you can take it internally, but as a master herbalist, I would recommend not, because there's a lot of contraindications with it that make it an unwise choice to do its job. So it's one that we put on our skin only, but really good for people that have arthritis, polymyalgia, fibromyalgia. It's called comfrey. Comfrey, C-O-M-F-R-E-Y. The variety that we have here is called Bocking 14. It's a non-spreader, but you can get ones that are spreaders. Generally not a problem in Florida. I will say for those that are from New York and from the north, we grow in the Midwest comfrey in full sun. In Florida, they are part shade and they do go dormant in the summer. So comfrey does really good for us pretty much October until about June, and then July, August, September, they kind of disappear. Like some of them will lose their leaves, but it's a great one as a mineral miner. If you have chickens or livestock, this is a replacement for your calcium or your mineral block. So it does have vitamin E and selenium in it as well. You can feed it to cows. If horses have never had it before, they can colic if they've never had it before. So start in smaller doses to give them the microbiome, and then introduce it to horses. But goats, sheep, and cows, they can have it immediately, as much as they want. They'll probably eat it faster than you can grow it. And then the last one that we have over here is called perennial peanut. That one is a fun kind of spreader. It's a nitrogen fixer in the soil. Its cousin is over here. Kids, if you want to come this way, shorter humans, I want you to look at this one. This one is a fun one to touch. So see all the green that's here in the middle? The green in the middle, I call this one the Dr. Seuss plant, because in a couple weeks, it's going to start getting flowers on it that are about this big, and they look like the pink puff flowers in the Dr. Seuss book, Horton Hears a Who. So they look like Horton Hears a Who flowers. The other reason I like this plant is when you bend down and you touch the leaves, I'm gonna see if I can do this without breaking it. You touch the leaves and the leaves will begin to close up. So they're open like this, and when you touch them, the leaves will actually close up. So I want you to come over here and everybody find a spot and just slowly touch the leaves and watch the leaves fold up like praying hands. And rub your hands like this on the top. See them closing? Look at that. So see, touch these ones here. And try that one. And when see them? See how they closed up? When you touch them, they just start to close their hands like they're praying. Here's some good or open ones here. This one is a great one if you have any kids that have tactile needs that they have to help dial them down. I work with a lot of kids that are on different beautiful color spectrums. And this is a great one for those kids to have a tactile response because it's very calming, it's very soothing. It takes probably 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how hot it is, for the leaves to open back up, but they'll open and close all day long. The flowers are pretty short-lived. They're only gonna last a day, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, but they bloom pretty much all summer long. So most of the summer, this area is going to look like Dr. Seuss's front yard. It's kind of a fun tactile thing to have on the ground. The other one, while we're over here, I might as well show you this one that looks like a little lily pad. This is a really common weed all over Florida. It's called dollarweed, but it's in the same family as an herb called gutucola, which is really good for brain health. And so for parents that want a wild forage, it tastes exactly like parsley. So think garlic mashed potatoes, parsley on top. Chicken pot pie with a little bit of parsley in the middle. Macaroni and cheese with sriracha sauce on the top. We love our sriracha sauce. And then a little bit of parsley on top. So this tastes exactly like parsley. And it doesn't give you that weird aftertaste. So it's a super easy one to add in to our diets. You can eat dollarweed. Just make sure it's not where your dog pees or your kids pee. But I will say, families, if you do want a tip, now, if you have daughters, I can't help you here. But if you have sons or husbands, the best place to go tinkle around the yard is at the base of a fruit tree. And I'm saying that in all seriousness. Urine is a 1-to-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. It is 100% bioavailable to the plant, and it is chock full of nutrients and enzymes. Now, you gotta make sure that you don't have any neighbors looking out there because you don't want the police showing up. Your HOA is not gonna be real happy. But I always joke with families of like, if you got a backyard that's secure, you go, all right, this week you're starting on that end of the food forest and you're working your way this way by the end of the day. The best place. What's that? Does that work with dogs? Dogs, yeah, is what the main thing with when you're using urine or urea on plants, you want to do it on a tree because the cellular structure of the woody stems are what filters out any remaining toxins that might be there from their food or from antibiotics or heavy metals. But for the most part, if it's a hard stem, the cellular structure filters all of it out. And the reality is when you buy fertilizer, it probably has urea in it anyway, which is urine. So you might as well use your own. It's free, It's free. I'm all about free. Yes, sir. It closes, it's called a phyto response or a plant response. And so it's sensitive to touch. So really any movement. So even if you try this, if you get down on your hands and knees and you blow on it really hard, see how it closes? So it's sensitive to that movement and that touch. So even when it rains, they'll close up. If the wind blows really hard, they close up. So they're sensitive to any kind of movement or touch. Any other questions before we start planting a little? Yes, sir. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. Do you have this one at your house? Yes, we do. Good. This is a very easy one to grow. I mean, literally, if you just take a little piece like this, and I'm sure if you ask Jackie very nicely, she'll give you a piece like this. And if you literally just stick this in a pot, it's going to produce you another plant. Now, these do spread. I mean, obviously, you can see. So you don't want to put this anywhere where you don't want them to go. I would not recommend this one above a septic system because the root on this gets to be about 3 feet deep. So we don't want to be messing with our septics. However, if you're wanting a great ground cover over your septic field, the perennial peanut is only going to be 3 to 6 inches deep. And that one does bloom yellow blooms year round. It doesn't have the cool tactile, but perennial peanut would be a great choice over a septic field. And for kids, that's where your poop goes. So any other questions? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to arrange these trees in this area over here on the side. So humans that are shorter than me, if all the humans that are shorter than me wanna come over here and grab one plant, and we're gonna bring that over here to the side. And I would like to remind everybody, if you have a water before we move, let's everybody take a drink of water so we stay hydrated. So everybody, if you don't have a water bottle, go to the larger human. There's some water bottles here in the cooler if you forgot yours. But everybody hydrate, please.